Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And we're going to talk about running. Yeah, I know it's something that I've talked about a lot because I've been doing it a lot. And next week, I've got another race coming up. And then in 2 weeks after that, I've got another race coming up. And then 2 weeks after that, I've got a race coming up. And then it's going to be 3 weeks until a race. And I'm still not positive. I might wind up pacing someone for a lap at the Ghost Train. And I'll probably just head out there for Ghost Train anyway, whether I'm pacing someone or not, just to, go out and, hey, I want to witness this amazing feat of people running 100 miles. I know, crazy, right? That's a lot of miles. But I want to witness it because I want to be there next year. And the reason I'm not doing the Ghost Train this year, well, couple of reasons. Primarily, I don't want to do a 100-mile ultramarathon 2 weeks before the New York City Marathon. I don't want to do anything that is going to screw up the New York City Marathon. And yeah, my training it's good. I'm basically back on track. There was a thing a few weeks ago, and I'm still dealing with a little bit of hip pain, but I don't know entirely what is going on with that. Yes, I know I should probably go see a doctor, but I'm kind of scared that the doctor will tell me you shouldn't run for a while. And, well, I've had the New York City Marathon written down. Like, it has been written down. I am running this since last year. After I found out that I wasn't going to be able to do it last year, and I can actually talk about that for a bit. So I didn't even know that normal people could run the New York City Marathon. And yes, I'm using the word normal in a relative sense. By normal, I mean non-elite athletes. Like, I had no clue. And when I first found out, I was like, okay, I want to try doing that. Just to say, like, I did the thing. And obviously, I found out too late last year to be able to get on a charity team, and the lottery had already passed, and I'm not an elite athlete, so that was just completely out of the question. So after I found out, not going to be able to do it 2017. All right, 2018 New York Marathon, I am doing this. It is happening. I don't know how, but I will make it happen. And earlier this year, or could have been late last year, whenever the lottery window opened for sign up for the lottery, and it's technically not a lottery, but it's referred to as the New York City Marathon Lottery. Whenever that registration opened, I wound up applying, and I didn't get picked. And the day that they were, sending out emails informing people that got the lottery picks, I'm waiting, I'm looking online, like who's being notified. And apparently they do it in sort of sections of people in New York, the rest of the country. And then it starts going international runners. And by, I think it was mid to late afternoon, I see online, somebody said, I live in Europe, and I just got notified that I'm in, so they're on international runners now. Everybody in the U.S. that got picked should have been notified by now. And no email, called my credit union, hey, can you tell me if there's a pending charge on my bank card? And they said no. And I said, okay, like this is the only time somebody's going to be sad that there's not a pending charge on their card, right? And so then I started looking, all right, who were the charities? And saw the Innocence Project, which I knew they were a charity from last year. Excellent. They're on here again. Let me apply. Sent the email. It's probably going to be a couple of days before I hear anything. I'm going to the gym. And then I go to the gym and I'm in the middle of a workout. And my phone, goes up, notification, got an email. And I just happened to have looked at it of, who sent me an email? Which normally I don't even pay attention to notifications when I'm at the gym. But I think because I knew what day it was, I wonder if this might be an email about the race. And sure enough, it was. And it was someone from the Innocence Project responding back to me saying that they would like to offer me a spot on the team. And I responded, I would be thrilled to take a spot on this team. I will get everything done as soon as possible. And by everything, it was create the CrowdRise account. And you can actually go. I'm still trying to raise $500 more for the Innocence Project. I've already secured the spot on the team. But I want to bring in $5,000. They set a minimum of $3,500. I'm past that. I'm at $45,000. I want $500 more. Go to run.fppradio.com. Run.fppradio.com. The link is in the show notes. It's been in the show notes for a while. So just go back, run.fppradio.com. I have my own goal. I want to raise $5,000. And so I set up the CrowdRise and then started raising money right away, got some matching funds, and off we go, right? And so I've been in, New York City Marathon training mode basically since the spring, even though the original training plan was get ready for a couple of half marathons, and then, I think I did a 20-week marathon training program, and again, I made a slight tweak to that to go down to 3 days per week of running, and that's looping back into the training program. And let's talk about running in the heat. We'll talk about that here in a moment on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. Before we talk about running in the heat, because, I've been doing some of that lately, I want to make sure that I tell you about something else that I'm thrilled about. And not just because they're a sponsor. Like, I'm thrilled about Horizon, formerly known as Zencash, recently rebranded to be Horizon. They're a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond cryptocurrency itself, including the ability to privately chat with other people. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy to life. Learn more at horizon.global. Horizen, horizon.global. And yes, they still have the cryptocurrency, and the ticker symbol is still Zen, Z-E-N. They've just broadened the name. They felt that the name Zencash sort of restricted them to, people think that we're only the cryptocurrency, but we are so much more. So Horizon has broadened the horizon of possibilities for them. HORIZEN.global. Horizon.global. So let's actually jump into the article here about how to run in the heat. And I'm sure that they may mention this. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I've not actually read the entire article. But one thing that I've been doing recently, because it's been rather warm in New England, and by rather warm, I mean the actual temperatures have been in the high 80s, low 90s. The heat index has been close to 100. Which, even the people down south would say, yeah, that's a little warm. People up here are like, it's absolutely blazing hot. Yeah, kind of. And then when you add in the increased body temperature from exerting all of the energy from running, and then heat bouncing up off of the pavement, yeah, you need to take precautions when you're running in the heat. So the article here from Runner's World, how to handle running in the heat. What I was going to say is one thing that I've been doing on some of the longer runs, and by longer I mean 5+ miles. Not only do I take hydration with me, but if I feel that my body temperature is getting a little too high, I start doing intervals. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do intervals. You can either do what are referred to as regular intervals of after a certain distance, you start doing a run-walk pattern. So let's say I'm doing 5 miles. After the first 1.25 mile, I will walk for 1 minute. And then I run for 2 minutes. And then I walk for a minute. And then I run for 2, walk for 1, run for 2. And then I will generally run the last 1 to 1.25 miles. Based on, like whenever the end of an interval happens of, I'm at, 3.8 miles, I will run the rest of the way. Whereas if I were at 3.5, all right, I'll do one more interval and then, go ahead and finish that way. So that's one way to do it. And there are people that run marathons that are faster than I that do some kind of interval during the marathon. So just because you're taking a quote-unquote walk break doesn't mean that you're not running. Okay? Now, I realize for the brief moment that you are walking, you're not, by definition, running, but that doesn't turn the run into something other than a run. Jumping into this article, they say, however many bad weather will make you tougher quotes we collect, there's still one aspect of weather that most of us do our best to dodge: the heat. In fact, many of us do everything we can to avoid it. Running at dawn or late in the evening, or seeking shelter on a treadmill in air-conditioned gyms. It is, however, possible to run in the heat. In the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, Portuguese distance star Maria Fernanda Moreira Ribeiro set an Olympic 10,000-meter record under hot, humid conditions. 82 degrees with 60% relative humidity, according to the historical data from Weather Underground. In the process, she posted a time of 31 minutes, 1.63 seconds, one that 16 years later would still have put her in the top 10 in the much more temperate conditions of the London Olympics. So I just want to, and hopefully you can hear the giggle in my voice. I want to put this 31-minute, 1 second, or 1.63 second time for a 10K into perspective. A decent 5K time. And by decent, I mean it's the time that I hear a lot of new runners talk about as I want to wind up getting a time under blank. That blank is 30 minutes. So for a new runner, and I'm still a relatively new runner, I can generally do a 5K in 27, 28 minutes, which not blazing fast at all. But this woman ran twice as far, and it took her 3 minutes longer, meaning that she's, well over twice as fast, or almost twice as fast as I, which is amazing. I'm still baffled that people can run, 4 and 5 minute miles. It's amazing. So 31 minutes, 1.63 seconds in a 10K in some pretty bad heat. Again, 82 degrees, 60% relative humidity. That, already adds up the heat index. Plus, again, you add the heat bouncing off of the pavement, the increased body temperature from exerting energy in that heat. Let's talk about how to run in it here in moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
This is Roger Paxton from Pax Libertas Productions and the Lava Flow Podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I promise I'll continue with this article and hopefully finish it. Hopefully. If not, the link will be in the show notes, as I always put links in the show notes. But before we continue, I've got a question for you. Yes, I know normally on Fridays, when I have them, I answer your questions, but every now and then I want to ask you a question. Are you a fan of cryptocurrencies? Do you use and promote Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as an alternative to government-printed fiat monies? If so, then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit has aggregated millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. And recently, they've added info showing which other cryptocurrencies vendors accept. So it's not just Bitcoin anymore. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend-A-Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a cryptocurrency accepting merchant, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.fppradio.com. Spendabit.fppradio.com. So, continuing on with this article, barely got into it so far. Again, talking about the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Portuguese distance star Maria Fernanda Moreira Ribeira set an Olympic 10K record in hot, humid conditions. Again, 31 minutes, 1.63 seconds, a time that even in the heat, that time was good enough to where if she did that time in the London Olympics last year or 2 years ago, she still would have been in the top 10. The bottom line is that the human body is remarkably adaptable to heat. Its ability to adapt to high temperatures is faster and more dramatic than its ability to adjust to any other environmental stress that nature can throw at us, such as altitude or even cold, according to Lawrence Armstrong, a heat researcher at the University of Connecticut. In a paper in the January 2015 issue, Comprehensive Physiology, Daniel Lieberman suggests that our heat tolerance probably results from the fact that our ancestors evolved to hunt and forage at midday on the African savanna, a time of day at which, if you're heat tolerant enough to handle it, you're relatively safe from less heat tolerant predators. Since then, humans have dispersed all across the globe, but wherever we live, Lieberman suggests, we still largely retain these ancient heat tolerance genes. He says, quote, "Heat is a paradox. On the one hand, we evolved to run in the heat, but on the other, if one is not well adapted, it might be dangerous. Or rather, it can be mighty dangerous. Even if we are acclimated, heat will slow you down." Here's a guide for what to do as the temperature rises. And they start off by giving info on temperatures between 50 and 59 degrees. They say most runners don't think of these temperatures as hot, but the longer the race, the more that heat will affect you. In a study published in Medicine and Science in Sport and Exercise, a team led by exercise physiologist Matthew Eli studied decades worth of elite and sub-elite marathon performances at temperatures ranging from 41 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. But what they found was surprising. Even at a temperature of 50 to 59 degrees, there was a slight drop in performance, comparable to about 1 to 2 minutes slower to a 2 hour 10-minute elite, depending on whether the race was at the top or the bottom end of the temperature range. For a 3-hour male athlete, the time difference amounted to 4 to 8 minutes. Slower runners, people like Darryl, they weren't included in the study. Continuing on, and I'm actually going to skip down. I'm skipping the 60 to 69 temps, the 70 to 79, and let's go with the 80 to 89. They say there comes a point when additional sweating doesn't do you any good. When you're dripping sweat, there's lost water as opposed to lost heat. You also begin to run into the limits of not only your body, but of physics. There are conditions which, no matter how efficiently you sweat, it will not evaporate fast enough to keep pace with the rate at which you are generating heat. Your only alternative is to slow down. Armstrong says basically when the air temperature exceeds 80 degrees and the humidity exceeds 70%, you will find that performance drops markedly. Acclimating to do the best that's possible under these conditions requires dedication. In 2013, when the U.S. ATF Outdoor Nationals were held in Des Moines, Iowa, Kim Conley, who lives in Sacramento, California, spent her last 2 weeks of training in the Midwest getting used to the combination of heat and humidity. She says, "My training is almost always geared around preparing for a specific race environment. But just as runners are tapering off their workout volume before important races, Conley also backed off the heat training in the day or two immediately prior to the race, trusting that the adaptations had already taken place, and what she needed to do was to make sure she did not enter the race overstressed. It worked. Conley ran 15 minutes, 37.8 seconds. Not her best, but good enough to get her into the U.S. World Championship team. Again, remember that 30-minute 5K? Yeah, she basically cut that in half. 15:37.8. Good enough to get onto the World Championship team. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. It's already been an extraordinary year for the Innocence Project and their clients. They've already freed more innocent people in the past 12 months than in any year in the history of the Innocence Project, and they're gearing up to do even more. The attorneys and paralegals for the Innocence Project are dedicated to doing whatever it takes to set an innocent person free. To support them, a new cohort of law students have recently joined and are excited to help with more than 200 cases of clients seeking to prove their innocence. 9 clients have been exonerated and reunited with their families in 2018 already, and your support now will help build on the incredible momentum of exonerations. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Talking about running in the heat. Can you do it? How should you do it? Again, fairly lengthy article from Runner's World. Link will be in the show notes. We've talked about what most people would not consider to be very hot 50 to 59 degree Fahrenheit, which is where, based on a study of elite and, quote, sub-elite athletes, that's where things started to drop off. And now we're talking about what I think most everybody would consider to be hot, or that's pretty damn warm, temperatures over 90. The hotter it is, the harder it is to excel. In 2007, Cara Goucher, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, became the first American ever to medal in the 10,000 meters in a world championship. She knew that Japanese summers are notorious for hot, humid conditions, and race day in Osaka was no exception. She says it was humid and stifling, remembering the 88 degrees with high humidity. But she'd also prepared for it, doing summer track workouts in tights and long sleeves, as well as easier runs in sauna suits, jackets, and pants that are basically like rubber. She went to Japan 2 weeks before the race and says, quote, "By race day, I knew I could handle it." The key to racing in outrageous conditions, adds Greg Pressler, a Badwater 135 veteran, which, Badwater, that's something on the bucket list. I'm serious. That is on the bucket list. I'll talk about that at some later time. But Pressler is thinking about everything that might affect your performance, whether it's monitoring pace or choice of clothing. Stints in a sauna can also help with acclimation. Meanwhile, it's also useful to work on hydration, even for shorter races. Pressler says, "I'm a big proponent of Pedialyte in an effort to top off the electrolytes while also ensuring maximal hydration." University of Iowa cross-country coach Lane Anderson says it will pay off with larger blood volume and greater resistance to dehydration. They also mention another product that it appears they have some kind of affiliate link with. You can read it if you want. It's also possible to train yourself to drink more liquids. You won't be able to exceed 1 liter per hour, but most people aren't used to consuming even that much. Pressler says that means in hot conditions, it's easier to dehydrate. Then they have the basics of heat training that if you plan on training outside in the heat, you want to look at. I'll be back next week answering your questions at ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.